Welcome back to Archer's World of Literature, guys. Today we're going to be doing the first manga review. I've had a request to do it, and I've been thinking that I would like to do this as a part of my channel, because I've always been interested in manga myself. And so we're going to kick it off with Berserk. Now, I'm going to be doing like spoiler discussions on this. I'm not going to call it like a review, it's going to be a discussion. I'm just going to be going over sort of arc by arc what's been happening. I've read the first arc of Berserk, and that is the Guardians of Desire. There's two sort of intro chapters, which is the Black Swordsman and the Brand, and then there was about 6 or 7 chapters of the first arc, which was the Guardians of Desire. So we're going to talk about that. If you haven't read the first arc, I'd probably click off this video, go and read it, and then come back to this video, and then we can have a discussion about what's going on. So if you have read it and you want to hear my thoughts, strap yourselves in and let's talk some Berserk. So Berserk follows Guts. Guts is a mercenary. All we know about him at the moment is that he's sort of been traveling town to town, and he has this brand on the side of his neck that's been given to him by it's a demon mark. And so what this mark does, at least what I know so far, is that it basically attracts demons and evil spirits to him. And so basically he sort of gets a warning, sort of starts flashing or bleeding when there's demons nearby, and he basically has to defend himself because it's like a magnet for these evil spirits. Now, Guts carries this giant longsword. It's not specified what it is. It's referred to as a giant hunk of raw iron or pure metal. And it's this huge sword, and he is strong enough to wield it and use that to kill his enemies, whether they're castle guards, they're humans, or they're evil spirits, or they're demons, or they're monsters. Whatever it is, he uses this giant longsword to defeat his enemies. The Black Swordsman, we get this introduction to Guts. He's walking into this town, and he walks into this bar, and he sees that there's these castle guards, sort of not torturing, but like mucking around with this little elf. They've tied this little elf up to the wall by some ropes and stuff, and they're just playing with it. They're throwing knives at it and stuff, and seeing how long the elf can avoid it. Now all of a sudden Guts goes up to the bartender, and he puts a couple coins down, and he says, "I'm going to mess up your bar a little bit. I'm going to be messing up your place of income. So here's some down payment for what I'm about to do." And then he has this giant crossbow on his arm, which is loaded with heaps of bolts. And then he has, on his other arm, he actually has a fake arm. So we don't know how it happened just yet, but he's lost his arm at some point in the past. And he has this giant, like, I'm going to call it like an artillery arm, like it's this huge gun. And he just goes in, he doesn't use it in this instance, but that's sort of what he's loaded with. And he comes in, and all of a sudden he just uses this giant crossbow, and he just starts shooting up all the castle guards in there who are, sort of terrorizing this elf. And then he uses his longsword as well, and he's just chopping them all in half. And then he shoots one of them in the nose, and it was just, it's just gross. It was so cool though. He shoots one of them in the nose, and then he goes over and he's holding the bolt, sort of the guy by the nose with the bolt. And he said, "Can you I need you to give a message to your master for me." And so he's sort of aware. We don't know who this is just yet, but Guts clearly has been following these people. And he says, "I need you to tell your master that the Black Swordsman is in town." And so then he just walks out, and then we find out this elf's name is Puck. So we're not really told I don't think we're ever told if it's a male or a female. So this elf flies out and is trailing Guts, and he's like, "Thank you for saving me." And Guts goes, I didn't save you, I just went in there to do my business, and you just happened to be saved. And then Puck's sort of like, "Oh, thank you anyway," or whatever. And Guts is kind of shown to be this character who's he's very hurt. He's clearly he's very hurt by something that's happened in his past, because he's very blunt, he's very straight-faced, he's very harsh. And so he sort of goes, "I don't need you following me, just quit it." And Puck sort of ends up tagging along. And then basically at the end of the Black Swordsman, he ends up finding out that the leader, we end up finding out that the leader of this town that Guts has been pursuing is one of the apostles of the God Hand. So the God Hand is sort of this circle of demons, at least that's what I think they are at the moment. And they have their apostles, which are like these demon humans on Earth. And Guts ends up getting into this huge battle with this first apostle, and he's sort of this human who's been eating the people of the town, and he ends up having this huge battle with him, and he slowly starts killing him, because all the demons are like, they're talking about how it sucks to be, they're saying that humans are pathetic and that no mere mortal can destroy them and stuff. And I think, as we see in the Guardians of Desire, usually a lot of the demons, at least so far, seem to have been, they used to have been humans, and then they make a deal with some devils and things like that, and they end up sort of sacrificing their humanity to become this, powerful demon. And so he's sort of like, no mere mortal can defeat me and stuff. And obviously Guts is a mortal, but he is no mere mortal. He is very, very strong, and Guts ends up defeating him. Then we end up moving into the second chapter of Berserk, which is called The Brand. And so Guts has left this town after killing this apostle, and Puck is following him. Puck's like sort of on this trail trying to find out where Guts has gone, because we don't know where Guts is. And then Puck ends up finding out that Guts is sort of laying low in this forest. We start learning that, everywhere Guts goes, this brand is making evil spirits and demons follow him. And so clearly, apparently he's walked onto a battlefield where there's these, when ghosts and evil spirits come out, it means that there has been human deaths where these people have suffered great violence or pain. And so that's when they become evil spirits in the ground and they start chasing Guts. Anyway, Guts destroys a few of them, and then he ends up walking away. Puck's still following him, and he ends up coming across this priest and his daughter who are traveling along this road, and they offer Guts a lift, and Guts says no, I don't need your pathetic lift, I can walk there on my own. And the priest ends up convincing him, and Guts sort of goes, oh, well, if they get in trouble, I don't care. If they end up dying because they're stupidly offering their goodwill to strangers, then whatever. He really doesn't really care for other people other than himself. That sort of starts to change towards the end of the Guardians of Desire. We start to see he does have a human side to him, but at this point in time, he's very dismissive of human life. They end up getting to a point on the trail where the evil spirits have caught up to him, and Guts sort of gets out of the carriage, and the girl gets out to see what's going on, and the girl's father says, no, don't get out. Guts is like, you stupid girl, get back in. And then all of a sudden a pike stabs her through the stomach, and there's an evil spirit coming up through the ground, and it gets her, and so she dies. And Guts sort of goes nuts. He says that he's not affected by these things, but you can kind of see that when it involves a child, he is, and that is an interesting point for some things that also happen at the end of the first arc, the Guardians of Desire. He sort of has this soft spot for children, and deep down innocent people. And so he gets into this rage, and he gets into this huge battle scene with these evil spirits. He destroys them, and it's this awesome, awesome scene. And then all of a sudden, Puck is sort of getting scared by what's going on. So Puck goes into the back of this caravan, and Puck actually sees the girl has gotten back in the caravan and has severed the priest's head, her father's head, and is holding it. And so she's essentially turned into an evil spirit, like a zombie, essentially, after being killed by one. And then she approaches Guts, this girl, this really innocent girl who's now been turned into this monster. And Guts basically is forced to cut her in half. He is forced to slay her down because she's become this evil spirit. So it's kind of a pity kill or whatever, but at the end of this, it really does, it is seen to affect Guts quite a bit. He sort of seems to be really upset that he's had to do this, and then Puck actually goes, oh, it's not your fault or whatever, and Guts sort of goes, oh, let's keep moving. So that's kind of, this chapter kind of went into further exploration of Guts's hidden emotions, and he's actually seen vomiting after he kills this girl. He vomits because, and that kind of shows his deep down shame of when things happen to young innocent children. So that was the brand. Now, the first arc, like I said, is the Guardians of Desire, and this was a wonderful arc. This is about 6 or 7 chapters, so I'm going to get into this now. I had an awesome time with this, and I'm just so excited to keep going. So let's get into the Guardians of Desire. So the Guardians of Desire, the first few pages, we're actually introduced to this new castle, and we're introduced to this huge, weird-looking guy called the Count. So he is like the Count, or the Lord of this castle. And we're actually introduced to him, and he's overlooking an execution. He's beheading all these people that he are claiming are heretics, so people who don't support, the religion of the town. And so that's just what we see, and Guts comes over and he picks up this beheaded woman's head, and then he points to his brand, and then he points to the Count, and he throws it at him, and then he runs off. He runs off, and then he's being chased by these castle guards, and basically he starts killing a bunch of them. Another really cool scene with some amazing artwork. We see the power of his longsword is immense. Like he's chopping them all in half. Like because it's so long, he's swinging it, and he's actually taking out like 5 or 6 guards at once. And then basically he kills most of them, but then there's about 30 of them waiting at they just keep piling in, right? And he's like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to do this, just by sheer numbers. And then all of a sudden some smoke bombs come out, and then we see this creepy looking guy with this really deformed face, and he's got this hood on, and he's sort of peeking out of this grate, this sort of like sewer grate that's like behind Guts, and he throws these smoke bombs, and he's like, come here, like I'm gonna help you escape. And Guts ends up following this guy, and we learn that this guy's name is Vargas. If you see me leaning forward, I'm just scrolling down on some of the notes that I made. And so Vargas rescues Guts from these castle guards. But of course, Guts doesn't recognize it as being saved. He's just like, I don't need your help, I just used you or whatever. So Puck follows Guts, and we meet Vargas, and Vargas leads the two of them into like his little basement, which is sort of where he lives. Basically, Vargas was the court physician, and when he realized that the Count was changing and becoming evil and killing more and more people, he tried to leave the court. And so as punishment, the Count kidnapped Vargas's son and wife, and actually cut them up and ate them and tortured them and ate them piece by piece. And so we see this really brutal scene where Vargas has been strung up by chains, and he's had his legs cut off, and his nose has been ripped off, and his arms are off, and he's bleeding, and he's just, all his ears, pieces of him have just been cut off, and the Count has been eating it. And just before this story, Vargas shows Guts this thing. And basically it's this little egg-looking thing, and it's got eyes, and it's got a nose on it, and it's got ears all around it, and it looks like this giant egg. And we come to find out it's called a behelit. And Guts sort of is like furiously curious. He's like, where did you get that? Like, how did you obtain one of these? So we're kind of aware that Guts knows what a behelit is. And Vargas says that he stole it from the court before he left. And he said as soon as the Count got a hold of this behelit, this little egg thing, that's when he started changing and sort of killing more people and eating them and all these awful things. So in the battle with the castle guards, before Vargas rescued Guts, this giant super soldier kind of castle guard came out, and his name is Zondark, and he's much bigger than the other ones. He's this big brute kind of guy, and he's like, I'm going to get you and stuff, and Guts essentially like fucks him up pretty quick. And so he's not all that he seems to be. Anyway, in the background, Zondark basically is like in the hospital, and he's screaming, and he's like, I'm going to kill Guts, I'm going to kill that guy no matter what happens. And the Count comes up and he says, oh really, you'll do anything? Well, I'll grant you that wish. And so the Count, we actually see, he has this ability, he's a demon, right? So after getting this behelit and stuff, he's turned into a demon, and he basically transfuses part of his demon into Zondark's brain, because Zondark's, like half of Zondark's head has come off after fighting, like all his brains and stuff are leaking after fighting Guts. And so the Count puts a bit of his demon into Zondark and sort of is using like a bit of him to control Zondark. So there's, the Count is essentially controlling Zondark now. And so while Vargas is explaining this story about what happened with him and the Count and this behelit, Zondark comes back, he finds out where they are, he crashes through the door, and this huge fight happens again between Zondark and Guts. And Guts sort of is fighting him, and then he cuts off like his arm, and then all of a sudden his arm grows back, and it's just all this demon, like it's this like squirming sort of worm-looking thing, super gross. And then he keeps cutting pieces of him off, and then he realizes that every time he cuts a piece off, it keeps growing back. And he realizes that the Count has given him a part of the demon, and now Zondark is sort of this demon. But anyway, so Guts keeps up this huge battle with him, really messes him up, and then all of a sudden the building catches fire, and half of Vargas's little basement dwelling sort of collapses on top of Zondark. Guts, Puck, and Vargas make an escape outside. Sort of, they go out through the sewer drains again. They emerge in this river, and then Guts is like, "Oh, for saving you against Zondark, like just give me the Behelit. Like I'm gonna go and destroy the Count. Like that's what you want. Give me the Behelit." And then before Vargas can even like agree to anything, Guts snatches it out of his hands and walks away. And then Puck's like, "What are you doing? Like this man's so nice. He's been through so much. Like, why are you being such an asshole, Guts?" And Guts is just like, "Oh, like I said, who cares?" He walks off. And then all of a sudden, Puck flies off after Guts. And then Vargas is about to go back through the sewers, back to, I don't know where he's going to creep off to. And then all of a sudden, this snaking demon arm sort of comes up and wraps itself around Vargas and kidnaps him. And Guts and Puck are gone, so they don't know about this. And all of a sudden, Vargas gets taken to one of these execution days. And Guts and Puck hear about it, and they try and save Vargas, and Vargas ends up being executed. He gets beheaded, and Puck attempts to save him and asks Guts. Puck asks Guts, "Go and save him. Like he helped you. He gave you the Behelit and all that." And Guts is just like, "No, I'm watching. Like I'm just going to watch him die." And Guts actually knows that it's a trap, because if he runs in, there's actually all these guards around the corner that are going to come and get Guts, because they know that Vargas was in cahoots with Guts. So he's standing back, but he's telling Puck that he's just watching for fun, to watch him die and stuff, because he's kind of got this mask of sort of like hardness, right? But deep down, he's actually got some feelings. Just before Vargas gets executed, Puck tries and saves him. Puck flies in and ends up just hitting the sword of the executioner and falling to the ground. Vargas gets beheaded, and then Puck actually gets kidnapped. Guts ends up going into the castle, and he's like, I've had enough. I'm gonna go get this guy. Like the time is now. I'm gonna go defeat the Count. And then Zondark appears again as he's climbing up the stairs. Right, again, he's back. They have this huge fight. Guts gets pretty badly wounded. He's losing a lot of blood. And then Zondark's like, he keeps getting cut up and stuff and regrowing. And then stupidly Zondark is like, "Oh, the only way you can fully take me down is if you take my head off. Haha." And then Guts is like, "Thanks for the tip." And then he cuts his head off. And so Zondark is finally actually defeated. Now, meanwhile, further inside the castle, Puck is actually being delivered to the bedroom of this young girl, and by the Count, and we find out that this young girl is Teresia, and Teresia is the Count's daughter. So he had her before he turned into a demon, when he was still human. And so Puck is being given to her as like a gift, as like a little friend, because the Count has actually locked his daughter Teresia in her bedroom for 7 years and does not let her go outside in fear of her being attacked by heretics. And the reason we end up learning why the Count is so afraid of heretics, because Teresia tells Puck what happened and why her father changed. So Teresia tells Puck that her father changed after one day her mother was kidnapped by heretics, so the Count's wife, and they threatened to kill her, and they ended up sacrificing her alive. And so since then, the Count became this monster, and he was just super furious and wanted to kill every heretic, and he became more and more brutal. And so that's the story that Teresia tells Puck, and why she's been locked up for 7 years. Guts charges into the castle. He keeps going, and he goes into the throne room of the Count. He's finally facing the Count. And Puck ends up hearing that there's some commotion going outside, and tells Teresia that Puck has to go. Puck goes, "Oh, I can hear my friends outside. Guts needs some help. I've got to go and help Guts." And Teresia screams and goes, "No, like you can't leave." And then she goes, "I'm sorry for yelling." She's been locked in her room for 7 years, and so she's finally got this friend. Of course, she doesn't want her to go, or Puck to go. And Puck goes, "I'll be back for you. I'm going to come and rescue you." And So I've just got Winnie here. Winnie. There you go. I got some comments saying that they wanted to see Winnie in some of my videos. Here she is. Alright, you gonna hop back down, Winnie? Good girl. Yeah, and so Puck goes out and says, I'm going to come back for you. And then back in the throne room, this huge battle happens between the Count and Guts. The Count sort of starts going full demon mode, if that's what you want to put it. He becomes huge, and every time Guts takes a piece of him off, he becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. The damage from this battle actually ends up destroying parts of... Okay, Winnie's back. I'm going to leave her there. The damage from this battle actually ends up affecting the rest of the castle, and Teresia, the door to Teresia's bedroom, actually gets damaged, and she's able to escape for the first time in 7 years. Now, Teresia ends up finding her way to the courtroom, or the throne room, and sees for the first time ever what her father really is. She sees him as this massive, disgusting, ugly demon that's having this really violent battle, and she screams. She's like, no, like, my father can't be like this. And basically she ends up hiding behind this pillar, and the Count is truly broken by seeing his daughter, seeing what he really is. We find out that this is the only thing that can truly upset him. So you guys get to see Winnie here. Winnie, you got some fans, huh? You got some camera time? I'm just going to stay here patting her while I keep going. And so, yeah, we see that this is the only thing that can truly hurt the Count emotionally, is that seeing his daughter in pain. And so he starts getting this new rageful power, and he sort of keeps attacking Guts with even more force. Guts ends up dashing behind the pillar where Teresia is hiding, and grabs Teresia and holds her hostage before the Count's about to attack him. So the Count stops and goes, no, like, let her go. And then while he's holding his daughter hostage, and the Count's kind of frozen, we see one of the first couple uses of Guts's like artillery arm. He loads it up really quick, and he shoots the Count right in the face. He's this huge monster, but he shoots him in the face. So half his face is all blown off, and then he ends up like cutting off the head, this half damaged head, and he holds up the Count's head in front of Teresia, because the Count's still alive, like he can't really die. And so, because this whole thing is with these demons, they're like, oh, we're invincible sort of thing, like humans are pathetic, they die so easily. And then Guts is holding down the Count's head right in front of Teresia and goes, I'm going to show you what it's like to die slowly. Like, this is how humans die, because we always fight to keep living. And so in front of Teresia, brutally, Teresia's screaming, because this is still her father. Like, she's got a lot of mixed emotions, but it's still her father. He repeatedly stabs, like super violently. It's a really, really hard scene to read. He repeatedly stabs the Count in the face, and he's like laughing, and he's going like, Guts is kind of getting overwhelmed by this evil, like he's getting overwhelmed by this violent act. He's just stabbing the Count's head, and Teresia's screaming. And then the Count screams, I don't want to die. That's what he screams. And then all of a sudden this portal opens up, and they're transported to this different dimension. And so as the chapter progresses, we actually get into I believe it's the third volume. We find out the dimension that we are in is the Archangel Void, and it's ruled by this circle of like god demon sort of things, like the all-powerful demons. And I think there's 5 of them, and they're called the God Hand. Guts actually instantly recognizes one of the God Hands as a man that he once knew, or we believe that he once knew, because he recognizes him by name, and he screams, Griffith. He screams, Griffith. And so we're unaware of what this connection is. But then the God Hand are basically, they've been summoned because they've previously made this deal that we find out about with the Count, and that's why the Count was what he is. And so when a demon or a human demon that's made a deal with the God Hand screams, I don't want to die, it summons them so they can try and make another deal or another sacrifice to give him an extended life. The God Hand are looking at the Count's half-destroyed face, and they say, we can give you another chance at life if you want. You just have to give us another sacrifice like last time. And everyone goes, what do you mean? What happened last time? And the God Hand open up a vision in the sky, and they show Teresia what actually happened with her mother and why her father is the way that he is. So the story that the Count told... Ow, Winnie. The story that the Count told Teresia what happened to her mother was actually... It was a lie. So we show what actually happened. the Count was always against heretics, and he was always away from the castle hunting down heretics and killing them and having these battles. So he was rarely at home. He comes home one day and he goes into one of the rooms of the castle and he sees this giant orgy happening. And it's basically all these naked women clawing all over this pagan god with the head of a goat and clinging around the neck in the most pleasurable sort of position is the Count's wife, so Teresia's mother. And the Count loses his mind and he executes everyone in the room. He slaughters them all, and he's about to stab his wife. He's about to kill her because he finds out she's this heretic, right, who's sort of committing adultery with this pagan god. He's about to kill her and he realizes he can't do it. He can't kill his number one love, but also his number one betrayer. And so the coming weeks, he's completely distraught. He's suffering great depression, and his heart is very, very heavy. And he screams out, what does he scream out? I'm looking at my notes. So his pain, he's going through so much pain because he can't kill this person who's hurt him so much. The pain actually summons the God Hand in this dimension, and the God Hand appear, and they tell the Count, they say, we can help you. We can bury your human heart forever. We can give you unlimited power and unlimited demon life, and you'll never have to feel this pain ever again. All you have to do is sacrifice someone close to you. You have to give us your wife. And the Count sort of painfully, he disagrees. He says, yes, do it. They kill his wife. They take his wife, and then they possess the Count with this demon power. And so that's what happened. That's how he actually became the way he is. And so Teresia is crying. She's devastated, and the Count is broken. You know, his lie has been revealed to his daughter, the one thing that can hurt him. And then they say, do you want to do it again, right? And he says, he's contemplating it, and they say, it has to be someone close to you. The only person that we'll take is your daughter, because she's the only person that's truly going to hurt you. It has to be a soul that means a lot to you, for you to become a demon again, for you to become, have unlimited power again. And he's unable to make a decision in time. We don't know whether he would or wouldn't. He's in incredible pain. It looks like he's contemplating it. I'm not sure. But then the portal to hell opens up, and we have all these dead souls emerging into this void, and then they all pull together to form this sort of like tightrope thing, and they grab onto the Count's head and they drag him into hell. And one of the dead souls who's at the head of this procession is Vargas. So Vargas and all his dead souls drag the Count into hell. Now, because Guts has this mark on him that we still don't really know who's branded him with or what it really means, he still has these dead souls that are after him, like he's sort of been hunted, right? And so the dead souls almost grab him. They've got him by the legs, and then Guts uses his artillery arm, and you can see this fury against this mystery character called Griffith. He points it at Griffith, and he shoots it, and he's about to explode right in front of Griffith, and then all of a sudden we see it doesn't do anything, and Griffith sort of puts his hand out and sort of like forces them back down to earth, right? And so Guts, Puck, and Teresia have been sent back to Earth. So they're back in the castle, and we actually see the half remains of the human body of the Count. And so Teresia's kind of crying, her dad's dead. Teresia, in her pain, actually blames Guts for everything that happened. She said, all this started when you came here, when you came to the castle. You're the reason my father's dead. You're the reason I found out the truth. She's obviously just in a lot of pain, and she's just spitting these things out. And so Guts sort of basically, because he's super harsh, he just says, if you're in so much pain, just kill yourself. Just die. Like, that's your choice. Just do whatever you want. Just stop complaining, right? And so he's just like, pick up that knife and do it. And so she goes to pick up the knife, and Puck pushes the knife out of her hand and says, don't do it. And then the ground crumbles underneath Teresia, and she's about to fall because the building's collapsing. And Guts actually puts out his sword, and she holds on to it by her hands on this blade, and her hands are bleeding, but she holds on. And Guts lifts her back on, and she's up there, and she's crying again because her hands are all messed up. And Puck starts healing her because Puck has this elf power of healing, and basically Teresia sort of gets up, Guts is walking away, and Teresia goes, "I'm going to kill you one day." She screams to Guts, she says, "One day I'm going to kill you for all this pain you've brought to my home, the castle, and my father, and me knowing the truth." She's more upset that she knows the truth, I think, and she's just finding someone to blame. And Guts goes, as he's walking away, he says, "Do it, I'll be waiting for you one day to come and kill me." And that is how the Guardians of Desire ends. That is the first full arc of Berserk. And I had so much fun. I actually read all of this in one sitting. I just sat down with this beautiful, amazing deluxe edition with this incredible artwork. This all in HD. Super, super sick. And Kentaro Miura, his artwork is absolutely incredible. So that has been sort of my Berserk first arc, first chapters discussion. Let me know what you think about this, because this was very much me trying a few things out. I just want to see what this is going to feel like. Like I said, it's not a review. This is a discussion. So if you are a huge fan of Berserk and you just want to hear someone talk about, their first impressions on your favorite series, then by all means come here and watch it. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And also, again, with these kind of spoiler reviews or whatever, it's good for me to get down my thoughts, so I can, because it's a pretty big series. If I forget what happened, I can look back and watch this video myself and remember. So, let me know in the comments if you'd prefer a spoiler-free review or you like this spoiler discussion. I do think it would be kind of hard to do a spoiler-free review on a manga, at least after the first volume, because, obviously I'm going to have to refer to things that have happened. And I think I wouldn't really be able to talk about that much without referring to what actually happened in a spoiler sort of discussion, because in manga things move pretty quickly. So I'm just going to try this. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't really mind if it doesn't do well. This can also be used for me. But let me know, like I said, let me know what you think worked or didn't work. Let me know what you think will work better. Comment what manga series you want me to do next. And again, spoilers or not spoilers, just let me know. I've read quite a few, but I would be down to do rereads of stuff. I love this kind of brutal artwork and horror sort of feel. I love that stuff. I also like shonen, so I like Naruto and all that. But let me know. I love talking to you guys. This has been a little bit of an experimental video. But as always, thank you so much for watching. And as I always like to say, keep reading. Peace out.